There's a bill before the government now that would require a family life curriculum to be absent in Senate. Was that bill really necessary?
I think we have something that's working fine now. I think that these guys are obsessed with sex this year. I don't know if they had it on the brain, and I just think we had something that's working well. I mean, the good Lord gave young kids the ability to procreate and have those hormones running through their body, and so things like that happen, and kids are curious and they're going to do those things. Now we should try to encourage abstinence and things like that, but we also should encourage a proper education for kids to handle those situations. And what we had, I think, was adequate. I think most of the experts said it was adequate, but we had a retired Bell South employee that knows more about it than anybody else in the state of Tennessee, so he decided to file a bill, and the Republican board followed him.
Well, a little shorter answer to that.
Education. You go ahead.
I was just going to say a little shorter answer to that is the executive director of the State Board of Education said it wasn't needed.
Right.
John DeBerry kind of took you guys to task on the floor about this. What sort of and is that colleagues?
Look, we have a big coalition. As I told you earlier, we had about 30 guys that followed us off a cliff, and we have some more that are there with us most of the time. John is a preacher. He has different views than some of us on some of these matters, and I respect John's opinion. He's a good man. And I disagree with him on this particular one. But if you go back and look, we've got Eddie Bass voted Republicans when he voted with us his whole career, but he's still a Democrat. We had him in our party, and so we're a little more broader based than they are. They kind of on far to the right, they're tipping the table that way, but our bunch is more spread out, and so that's good.
Well, I'd say this about John's remarks. I happen to agree with him. The problem was this bill didn't do anything
that's probably
at all to help that.
Yeah.
Well, after his speech, sort of several Democrats were visibly and audibly upset at him, whereas some of the more right-wing Republicans came over and sort of hugged him and cheered with him. I mean, I had to growl to your side of the aisle a little bit.
Well, things he was saying, he's talking about responsibility and single family homes and what we need to do. That's all great. It had nothing to do with this bill, as Craig said. But I think what there's more upset, Democrats are more upset with, not with John, is that they cut him off, and there was not a response, and some of the people in the Black Caucus, some of the females in the Black Caucus felt like that John DeBerry was not the spokesman for, they didn't want that to be perceived as spoken for the Black Caucus on that issue, and they cut us off before we had a chance to let other people respond to that, and they were visibly upset about that. Not so much about what John said, was that the didn't have the ability to respond. And for the most part, we had an agreement about cutting people off, and credit to our Republican counterparts over there, for the most part, they lived up to it. That was one time they didn't, and there was one or two other little instances they did, but for the most part, the agreement we had with them held up, and there was a couple of shaky moments, but they did hold up, and I do appreciate them working with us on that.